Week 7 of the fantasy football season. Here's a few tight ends. I have his sleeper options this week. The first tight end, Jono Smith, the Miami Dolphins. Smith out there, 96% of fantasy leagues. And we've seen some decent games out of him this season. 2 out of 5 games, he's had double-digit fantasy points. And his latest outing was Week 5 at one of his former team, the New England Patriots. 5 catches, 62 yards on 8 targets. So this week here, good matchup versus the Colts. Give up the 4th most fantasy points to tight ends on the season. And Jono Smith, we've seen flashes from him on and off over the last few seasons with the Atlanta Falcons and the New England Patriots. And in this Miami Dolphin offense, the current way it's constructed with Tyler Huntley at quarterback, Huntley's not going to take a lot of chances down the field, a lot of safe, secure throws. And, that's obviously the tight end role in most offenses, a security blanket and someone who could work the middle of the field. So like I said, Jono Smith out there in 96% of fantasy leagues. And if that's going to be the game plan, what Miami's going to do like they did in Week 5 this week in Indianapolis, I think Jono Smith could put up serviceable numbers once again. The next tight end, Javion Sanders of the Carolina Panthers. So Javion Sanders, he got an expanded role in last week's game where Tremble was hurt with the concussion. I know Tremble's returned to practice, but Sanders the last 2 weeks has had his best games of his young NFL career. Week 5 at Chicago, 3 catches, 13 yards. And then Week 6 versus Atlanta, 5 catches, 49 yards on 7 targets. So the targets have been there for Sanders. This is another game most likely this week they're going to be trailing early and often, have to play catch-up and garbage time at the Commanders. And the Commanders, their defense isn't all that great this season. They've given up a lot of points of late to opposing offenses. So I think Andy Dalton, we know he's a gunslinger. He gets that football out and he spreads it around all the field. Even though it's not great at times, his value definitely have gone up with Dalton in the lineup over Bryce Young. We've seen it with Deontay Johnson, Xavier Legette. He showed some flashes, and Sanders last week as well. So right now, if you really need a deep sleeper at the tight end position, if you got Dallas Goedert, who's most likely going to be out in this game, or you just need help at the tight end position, streaming, I think Sanders could be a decent option this week. In the third and final tight end I have as a sleeper, Theo Johnson of the New York Giants. I've mentioned Johnson a few times this season on the sleeper list, and the last few weeks he's gone out there and had his 2 best games of his career for the rookie. Week 5 at Seattle, 5 catches, 48 yards. And Week 6 for Cincinnati, 3 catches, 30 yards. So I know it's not much on paper for Theo Johnson, but this Giant offense most likely will get Malik Neighbors back in the lineup this week, but Johnson getting more snaps. He's running more routes over the last couple weeks, and him and Daniel Jones are building a rapport. And this is a ball game where I expect the Giants are going to have to drop back and throw the football a whole lot versus Philadelphia Eagle team. So Johnson, another tight end that's out there in 99% of fantasy leagues and is a deep sleeper. So that's a few tight ends I have as sleepers for Week 7 of the fantasy football season.